Next station, Aljunied.
Good morning and welcome back to another video. Now, if I planned this right, in the last episode we flew from Sydney to Singapore with Singapore Airlines in economy class. Fast forward 2 days later and we have to complete the itinerary to Tokyo. Now, it just so happens that it's on the same aircraft in the same class, which I've just covered. So what I think I'll do in this video is we'll check out Changi Airport. Word on the wire, it's one of the best airports to travel through or to transfer through. And we'll also see if there's any difference between the service on the Singapore Airlines flight from between an 8-hour flight and a 6.5 hours to Tokyo Haneda. So we'll see if there's any difference between the two services, and we'll enjoy the day. I'm just about to catch the MRT to the airport, so come along and let's enjoy as we go from A to B. We begin this morning outside Kallang Station. I had a few great days in Singapore, very enjoyable for a layover, and I enjoyed the MRT and bus system as I found them both easy to use, even for a first-timer.
Next station, Aljunied.
Getting to the airport is not challenging either, only requiring to change trains once at Tanah Merah. The platform at the airport MRT station has flight information, which I found beneficial. I actually enjoy looking at these boards in different parts of the world and seeing the many unfamiliar destinations. Even though we have the internet and everything is at our fingertips, it's a good reminder that the Earth is still unimaginably large. One last note about the MRT is that they offer these tourist IC cards for variable lengths of time. However, for the 3 days I spent here, I found purchasing a regular IC card was the more economical option, so it may be beneficial to do some quick calculations beforehand. Speaking of calculations, when I booked this itinerary, it's a one-way ticket from Auckland to Tokyo, I had two options. I could fly just one day from Auckland to Singapore to Tokyo, or like I did and I booked, is I could fly to Singapore via Sydney, take a 2-night layover, and then fly today back to Tokyo. And really the price difference for the two-night layover or the 3-day layover came out to only about 50 Canadian dollars difference, which was, I thought, pretty good deal. I figured if I have to transfer through Singapore, I might as well make the most of it and enjoy the city and see some sights while I'm at it. The majority of Singapore Airlines flights departs from Terminal 3. And if there is one word to describe this airport, it's big. It's absolutely massive. Definitely budget enough time just to walk through the airport and get to your gate. I did have my boarding pass, which was printed in Auckland a few days prior. By now, it was crumpled, so I employed the kiosks to print a new one. After that, it was a quick stop for a caffeine recharge before heading to the star of the airport, the Jewel. And here it is. Wow, just like the rest of the airport, absolutely massive and impressive with the wow factor. The Jewel houses the tallest indoor waterfall, and I think the best views are from the canopy level. What do you think? I love how the SkyTrain runs right through the Jewel. On each of the 10 floors, there is something to do. The canopy level has the Canopy Park and a few restaurants. Tickets or passes for the park can be purchased via the kiosks. What surrounds the waterfall and forest of the Jewel is a multi-floor mall with an almost endless selection of outlets. And it may be worthwhile to check out some retail shops which may not exist where you live. In my case, I stumbled upon the Bath & Body Works. And I looked online, they don't actually exist in Japan, so I contemplated picking up a couple bottles of that hand soap, but the Jewel is outside the security area, so you're unable to bring it with you if you don't have any checked luggage, because the soap is over 100 milliliters, so maybe next time. And beside it is the Starbucks Reserve location roastery. And if you do find yourself, speaking of Starbucks, if you do find yourself in Tokyo, you can go to the large Starbucks roastery where they roast the beans in Meguro. And it looks really nice. It's by the river, especially in springtime with sakura flowers. Heading down to the food court, and it's as diverse as the retail shops above. And hey, even the 7-Eleven is spruced up. By now, we had about 2 hours before departure, so 60 minutes before boarding. So next time I'm in Singapore, I'd come to enjoy the Jewel for a day without having to worry about catching a flight. Alright, so that's the Jewel, and overall it's a great way to kill a couple hours before or between your flights. And even if you don't want to do anything, it's good just to walk around, window shop, people watch, and look at all the things that, at least for me, I can't afford. And even if you don't have a flight, it's something great to do on a rainy day. There's a movie theater down there, lots of shopping, the food court, and there's also a supermarket there as well, I saw. So if you're traveling and you need to pick up some essentials or anything like that, you have that opportunity to do so. Anyways, it's about 2 hours, 90 minutes before the plane is set to depart, so just making our way back into Terminal 3. We'll do all the passport control and security and all that stuff, and head to the gate and just hang out until it's time to jump on board. What I didn't realize at the time was that security is done at the gate instead of prior to the passport control. That and the use of the e-gates made the passport check a quick ordeal, and in no time we were in the transit zone. The second floor has the food court, and with some time left, I thought it was a good place to grab some lunch. Ordering via the kiosk is easy, and a good way to use the remainder of my Singapore cash. Then all there is to do is wait for your number to show up on the screen. I took this opportunity to enjoy my last dim sum in Singapore. If you have a few minutes to kill, the Butterfly Park nearby is a nice place to stop and a great change of scenery from the terminal. It's certainly nice to say hello to the wonderfully colorful butterflies, and it's a unique thing to do in the airport. After lunch, Changi Airport continued to surprise me. Near our gate is... what's this? Basha Coffee. Wow, looks impressive, doesn't it? I don't think I've ever come across a coffee shop like this before. I thought this gold-plated coffee pot would be a nice addition to my collection. What do you think? Well, our visit of the airport is just about complete. Security is done at the gate, so once you're in, you're in. You're held in the gate area until it's time to board. And here's our A350 playing hide and seek right behind the jet bridge. Not only are we on the same aircraft, we're actually in the same row as the previous flight. Though, unlike the previous flight, I took the aisle seat as half the flight will be at nighttime, and I enjoy the easy access to the aisle. Singapore Airlines currently has 69 A350s in their fleet. They are in one of three configurations, and they employ the medium-haul configured aircraft for their Singapore to Tokyo route, which has 303 seats across two classes. Seating in economy is in a 333 configuration. The LED lighting, along with the dark seats, provides a nice warm ambiance on these late afternoon and evening flights. Screens on the bulkhead displays flight information over the course of the trip. The blue and gray seats are very comfortable for long-haul travel, and a pillow and blanket were provided for this flight, and I certainly appreciated the flexible headrest on the seat. Seatback is also well designed for these long flights and houses everything you really need. I particularly thought the cup holder and the little pocket under the screen was a good idea. And above is a reading light, which proved beneficial once the sun went down and the cabin lights were turned off. Business class is laid out in a 1-2-1 configuration, And here's a quick look at what you can expect for a business class seat on these flights. The in-flight entertainment system is quite extensive, with an almost endless list of content. And I like how you can have the moving map on the side of the screen while you're watching your favorite show. I spent the majority of this flight crushing through episode after episode of Bob's Burger. Singapore Airlines offers Wi-Fi on its A350s for reasonable prices. The prices were identical to my last flight, with no difference in cost for the full flight plan, even though it's a shorter flight. And of course, I invite you to subscribe for continued travel and aviation related content. After this video, we'll be heading to Korea, and I'll bring you a few videos from there, which includes flying on Asiana's last 747-400, an absolutely memorable experience, and I can't wait to show you. It was a bit bumpy for the first 2 hours, so the meal service started about 50 minutes into the flight. First, snacks and drinks were handed out, and I started with a gin and tonic. Many airlines offer different menus for different routes based on regional preferences and tastes. The menu for Singapore Airlines can be found via the QR code on the screen. For flights to Japan, this is what you can expect for an economy lunch menu. Singapore Airlines at the time was trying this new serving tray for the hot meals. They made an announcement about this during the flight, and it was fun to be part of the test group. I went with the fish dish, as fish tends to be hit or miss on planes, and a good barometer to evaluate the meals. So how was it? Surprisingly good, and I enjoyed it much more than the lemon chicken from the previous flight. This was the other meal option, the Japanese curry. Also didn't taste too bad. At the end of the meal, coffee and tea was offered, and this delicious chocolate ice cream was handed out. And unlike in the last flight, this wasn't rushed, so I thought the timings of the meal service was much better on this flight. And of course, I had no issues polishing off every last morsel. After dinner, it was time to sit back and enjoy the rest of the flight. And here's a look at the lavatory on the A350s. I like how they provided some toiletries, such as toothbrushes for economy class guests. The washrooms appear to be kept clean for the entire flight. On a 6.5-hour flight, there's only one meal service. However, snacks are offered if you find yourself a bit peckish. With the dim sum earlier, the late lunch on board, and the ice cream, I was fully content at this point and didn't dabble in the snack. Overall, this was a nice, relaxing late afternoon and evening flight, and I enjoyed the food and hospitality that Singapore Airlines provided. This was the final leg of my 3-flight itinerary from Auckland, New Zealand. The price of this one-way trip came out to 1,148 New Zealand dollars. Alright, so that's a look at Changi Airport and Singapore Airlines, a little bit of a comparison between a 6-hour flight and an 8-hour flight. And overall, it turned out to be a pretty nice day. We got to look at the Jewel, spent a few hours there, had some dim sum for lunch, and then enjoyed a flight over to Tokyo. And then the flight itself was fine. It was pretty bumpy though for the first 2 hours and 2.5 hours. After that, it kind of calmed down a little bit. And you can kind of tell the little bit difference of the meal service for a 6 and an 8-hour flight as well. Anyways, we're back in Tokyo where all my flights start, so I'm going to head home because it's like 11 o'clock now. No, it's not 11, it's 10 o'clock now. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next video wherever I find myself.